So BC and CRM was the first category in our list of categories to talk about. And frankly, when most of you on this call are hearing me say CRM, you're probably thinking Microsoft CRM. And in fact, I'm not supposed to call it Microsoft CRM anymore. It's Dynamics CE, but we all know what I mean. However, there are a bunch of other CRMs out there in the world. And when I thought about, approaching this, integrating CRM with BC, I thought we should approach it from more of a generalized standpoint, right? Now, in the case of Dynamics CRM and Salesforce, we do have standard connectors in both Smart Connect and Popdock. But for ones like Sugar, or that's the Zoho logo there near the top, we're interacting with those on the REST API side, right? So again, it's more about is there an API available rather than does Smart Connect support it or does Popdock support it. So when we take a look at the average CRM integration with Business Central, there's a bunch of things that happen, pretty commonly, I'll say. You've got your customers and your accounts and your contacts. All of those are being maintained quite often bidirectionally. What I will say is if you can do it, try to pick one system to own each of those. There's complexities that come with a true bidirectional integration, but if you need to, you need to. We can certainly handle it. Your products, your pricing, when you close an opportunity as one, that's generally going to flow back as a sales order into my Business Central. Really just kind of streamlining that process. You don't want to send an email from your sales team to your back office saying, hey, can you enter this sales order? Now, some of the ones that are, I'm going to say they're common, but they don't need to be, and I'll explain that on the next slide, but they don't necessarily need to be. The first one is invoice. And I'll touch on invoice in a minute. You don't necessarily need to physically import your invoices from your ERP back into your CRM. There are other ways to communicate that information to your sales team. Likewise, did that invoice get paid? That is one of my favorite ones to pick on. Over the years, I have built a bunch of integrations to convey, did that invoice get paid from the finance team back out to the sales team? It almost always involves customizing the CRM to accept a payment record in one way or another. Then you have to build the integration and move it across. There's always peripheral information that's needed. You have to build in error mitigation. It's a big project. That might be a 40, 50-hour project just to tell the sales guys, yeah, this got paid. There is a much faster way when we think about virtual integration of Popdock, which again, we'll touch on the next one. And another one that I see pretty commonly that Smart Connect has handled in the past is customer metrics, right? So quite often we'll build a tab somewhere inside our CRM. We'll have a this year column, we'll have a last year column. We'll have, sales costs, service hours, whatever KPIs we're trying to measure about that particular customer. We'll put it on a tab or that account when we're on the CRM side. We'll put it on a tab. Again, there are ways to achieve that using Popdock. So let's move to the Popdock slide. Okay, now Popdock, you heard me mention virtual integration. I will show you an example of a virtual integration here in just a moment. But some of the really common ones from Business Central, I can report to CRM all kinds of information without having to physically move that data across, right? So you can see here some examples, invoices and payment status and such, all the things we just talked about, but you can even get into conveying where is this order in my fulfillment process? Have I picked it? Have I packed it? All of that kind of stuff. Right down to after it ships, if I'm tracking my shipment information in BC, I could expose that in CRM. I don't need a custom field to put a tracking number in and all that stuff. Okay, but it works both ways. Inside my Business Central, maybe I want to review some opportunities or the activities associated with a particular customer. I want to know what's happening with this customer from a sales perspective. I don't necessarily want to leave my Business Central environment, which is where I'm choosing to work. So let's take a quick look at what some widgets can look like for you. I'm here inside Business Central. I'm going to choose my Popdock. Now, Popdock, hopefully everybody has seen Popdock by now. We've got dozens of videos out there explaining what exactly Popdock is, but at its core, Popdock is an end-user-driven ad hoc query tool. It allows my users to ask questions. Now, I'm viewing Popdock through what we call a widget, which is embedded inside of Business Central. So here I am in BC. That little cloud guy you saw skipping there, his name's Skippy. He's reaching into whatever my data source is in real time to get some data. Now, I can come out here and let's pick on Salesforce. I'm going to go to my opportunities and take all of my opportunities here. Now, these opportunities on my screen are not being stored inside my Business Central tenant, okay? I'm reading them directly in real time from Salesforce, and I can start to do things to ask questions here. So, I can move stuff around, like on my wand, I can resort, all the things. I can obviously filter, I can add columns on the fly. Anybody who hasn't seen a Popdock demo in the past, strongly encourage you to go and take a look at one. It is a super powerful tool. It can do a lot more than I can show you in this 45 seconds we've allocated to it. But my whole point of showing you this is Salesforce data or CRM data. Any of those CRMs I had on the first slide could be filling this role. And I can ask questions of this without having to go outside of Business Central where I choose to work. I'll show you in a little while in another example. I can also embed these widgets on actual other windows inside Business Central. So I could go directly to this customer and have a list of all the opportunities, all the activities, all the what have you that's associated with this customer inside my customer maintenance card in Business Central without having to customize, without having to fully import those records into Business Central. It's pretty slick. Now, if I take a look in here and I do a quick search, I can see that I've got Ellie's electric scooters here. I do have an opportunity for $2,500. And I can start to do things like look at the line items associated with it or who's talking to me about it and stuff like that. Now over here, I am in Ellie's electric scooters inside Salesforce. This is like a cooking show. I'm just pulling a fully cooked pie out of the oven to show you. You can see here we do have that opportunity for Popdock Premium. It is $2,500. But while we're here, we can also take a look at whoops, I clicked the wrong one. Which invoices does Ellie have outstanding? And again, I can start to filter, sort, group. I can add columns to this. I can ask all kinds of questions about this particular invoice without having to leave Salesforce now. And that question could include, is this invoice paid? Right? So again, lots of opportunity for you to share data between the systems that you're choosing to work in, regardless which CRM you have chosen. Now, you're going to come across this slide, after each little section kind of explaining this. I'm showing you what was regular. I'm showing you even a couple of special requests that we've had over the years, but we have access to all the entities inside of the CRM that you're working with. We have access to all of the entities inside Business Central. So what that means for you is we could be building any integration that you're asking us for from whatever to whatever between your CRM and your ERP. So maybe you've got contracts or you've got recurring billing is happening in your CRM and you want those recurring invoices to get created inside of your ERP. You've got just any number of things that could be happening between those two solutions. So the world is really your oyster.